Welcome to DrJLT Economics. I'm Dr. DrJLT. In today's episode, I want to talk about NFTs or Non-Fungible Tokens and how their rising popularity among speculators really tells me that we are reaching the peak of stupidity and how this frenzy really is going to end up really badly. Now, this has some really deep-rooted sources, so I will go deep into the cause of this boom in speculation, and I will then explain my thoughts. I will go over 4 points in this episode. First, I want to talk about the history of NFTs. Second, I want to talk about a project that I was working on for something based on blockchain that shares some resemblance to NFTs, but of course it's not speculative. Thirdly, I want to talk about entrepreneurship in general outside just purely cryptocurrency, pure speculation and NFTs. But I want to talk about, I want to draw some parallels between these senseless business models. And lastly, I want to talk about the real cause of this boom of stupidity, which, after all, is the irresponsible monetary policies that I've been talking about on this podcast. So first things first, very brief history about NFTs. In the last few months, NFTs have become just unbelievable. There are millions are spent on some so-called digital arts, which are basically basically just a picture. It's not even a high quality picture because, you know, blockchain is expensive and high quality pictures can easily go over 100 megabytes. That's not cost effective. So let's compress the shit out of it and still sell millions for a single picture. This is how stupid it has become, right? But in the beginning, this protocol really came about half a decade ago. In fact, the birth of this protocol really can be traced back to 2015, which was closer to the introduction of blockchain than it is to now. So, it had been with us during not just this bull run, but the previous crypto frenzy. So the question we need to be asking is that why is it that people had not come up with similarly stupid ideas to sell a picture for millions of dollars? And I think the reason can be found eventually in monetary policy. But let's go step by step. So this is the history. Secondly, I want to talk very briefly about my project that I worked on. And the project was called IDFX, IDEAFEX. And IDFX had a very simple idea, which was that using blockchain, we can help manufacturers or the producers of commodities to issue digital tokens that can tokenize either their products or their commodities. So in terms of commodities, it would be a fungible token, such as, for example, gold, such as coal, steel, right? And these will be able to be traded much like the commodity futures, right? And then there are other things such as real estate, such as automobiles. They can be non-fungible. So basically, you will basically purchase this token, and this token will be a proof of ownership. But instead of buying something that is already manufactured, you can allow the manufacturer to sell this token as, for example, a down payment. Or some sort of maybe even a prepayment, and this way you can get it for cheap, and the manufacturer will be able to get the money to produce your product, and then send you deliver the product to you. And with this token, you can then carry on with your ownership experience. And at any time, if you want to rent out your vehicle or your house, or if you want to sell your vehicle or your house or whatever, then this token can actually act as a proof of ownership. Now, this was my business idea. I worked on it, but it did not work. This is very simple. I think the reason that it did not work was that it made too much sense. It's not stupid enough. If I had come up with an idea to sell not help manufacturers issue tokens of their vehicles or houses, but instead of pictures of their vehicles and houses, and let them sell a Tesla, for example, a Tesla S token for maybe even with a unique VIN number on it in the picture, and sell it for 10,000. Well, it's 90% discount over the real car, and you can look at it. So perhaps that would have been a go. And in fact, perhaps the token would be so popular among the speculators that will eventually sell for more than the real car. Because again, this comes back to an episode that I made before on blockchain, on Bitcoin being the perfect bubble. If you have this NFT, because it certainly has zero value, you can speculate it to be above the real thing, right? A vehicle, a car, Tesla, is maybe $80,000, $120,000, depending on the model and specifications. Some models are even cheaper, or less than $40,000. Those are the price, and the value is reflected on the basically the utility that the vehicle is able to provide to the consumer. But the NFT, because it provides absolutely zero value, it can be priced at anything, and there still is a speculation, and right, it doesn't have a cap. If someone wants to sell a Tesla for 1 million, nobody's going to buy it. But someone sells a picture of a Tesla for 1 million. Maybe someone will be stupid enough to buy it because he sees that there is no real reference. So you have to be able to judge whether something is overpriced. You need to look at you need to have a reference, and because there is no reference, because it has no value, some stupid people would think that this is fine. It's going to go up. Now, it is not just this actually leads me to the third point about entrepreneurship in general in today's world, because one thing I want to point out about business is that there are two ways for businesses to really get to make money. Let's say one way is for the company to create value. That's called value creation. And then there is another way for a company to make money, which is to appropriate other people value that's created by other people, right? So you don't have to. Traditionally, this would not have worked. In a free market, this would not work. But because the market is so distorted by by free money and by the things that actually I talked about is particularly with regards to regulation in one of the previous episodes when I talk about the European Union. Basically, it is possible to appropriate value that you did not that you are not creating, and you're not adding any value to it, but you still will be able to make money, and that is basically how wrong the current system is. And a lot of the currently VC-backed unicorns are some good examples of that. They are loss leaders, right? I'm a listener of the Peter Schiff show, right? And I think Peter Schiff talked about this in a podcast maybe a few months ago, and I found this to be quite true. It rings quite true, which was that there are a lot of those sharing companies that are absolutely not making money. Some of the best performing ones, the performance leaders, they are losing just a few billion here, 100 billion there, but they are not. They are not. 100 million there, right? So they're not losing too much money. But then there are some who are losing even more. None of them is really generating money. But why is it that these companies become so big and they become unicorns? And this is because of the rise of those billion-dollar VC funds. Those big VC funds, their rise are accompanied by, in fact, a shrinking of the number of investments that are being made. So the way that it works is that these big VCs, they identify an idea that can be that has a big market. Perhaps it has a questionable business model. Perhaps it's never going to make any money because it's never going to create any value. It's not creating any value. But that does not matter, because if the market is big enough and the market is such that if we throw a lot of money at it, it's going to expand with advertising, then they will be able to grow the business so big, and just looking at the top line, they will be able to convince a lot of the investors that this is a good investment in an IPO. And of course, before this happens, a startup needs to start with such an idea that fits this description. A big VC will invest in it, will give it a very high valuation, and then it will go to the next round and the next round. And after a few series of such investments, the valuation of this company will be pumped up so much that it's ready for an IPO. In this entire process, the company never generates any profit, but its income is growing continually, and its speed of growth continues to increase. And of course, this is not very difficult to do if the idea of the business is such that it targets a very big market that is very very receptive to advertising. And some of the big examples so far we can identify are things like food delivery, ride sharing, right, and also this type of sharing economy, this gig economy type of things, right? They are providing, some because it's subsidized also, and because the potential market is big, because they don't need to make profit on the service that they deliver, it is possible for them to grow very quickly and grow very big. Now, let's just make a very simple calculation about Uber Eats, let's say, for example. If you order a meal on Uber Eats, you're probably not going to pay more than $5 for the delivery. But if a person, let's say you are working for Uber Eats, let's say, right? Let's say you are going to deliver some food. How many deliveries can you make every hour? I think probably 2 deliveries, but let's stretch it. Let's say you can make 3 deliveries every hour, right? And that's $5 maximum. At a lower end, probably even less than $3. But let's say the average is $4. So that's $12 for everything in, for your labor, for your for the maintenance of your vehicle, for the fuel that you need in order to deliver the food, and also there's gonna be fees and taxes on top of it. How is this even possible? I mean, the guy would be making $2, $3 an hour working on delivery and delivering three meals making 3 deliveries every hour, and that is really high order. It's very difficult to deliver 3 meals. Have you tried yourself going to the restaurant to pick up a meal and come back? How much time does that take? So all the difference must be subsidized by the investors, right? This business is never going to make money unless they are charging $20, $25 for a single delivery, but at which point nobody is going to use this service. And this is how insane it is. Just because it's obviously, just from any sane person who understands value creation would look at it and say, hey, this is not creating value, it is losing value, it is subtracting value. So how can we make a business out of something that causes a destruction of value and make a profit from it? And of course you cannot, but they are making a business of appropriating value, and the value that they appropriate is not from the activity that they are engaged in, but the value that is given to them by the investors. And where do the investors get that free money? That is from the Federal Reserve and from all the central banks' very irresponsible monetary policies. And so this brings us to the last point I want to talk about in this episode, which is the free monetary policies. Of course, I have been talking about this since the first episode of this podcast. And it is really free market, this very irresponsible monetary policy that has given a lot of investors the leeway that they can basically, since the money is so cheap, since the money they got the money for free, they want to speculate on it. And a lot of investors, I must say, also understand that these businesses, they're never going to make money, but that's okay. They want to invest in this. They want to go wait for the IPO, then they're going to dump it. They're going to dump on the next fool. They're going to dump on someone who is more stupid than they are. And in the process, they're going to make money. And if they lose some money, no big deal. So that is what is happening. I'm not saying that these investors are very stupid. They are not. They are making a lot of money. So these businesses, they are acting It's basically vehicles for these investors to generate more money. And the only people, so where is the value that's being appropriated by these companies and by these investors? Where do the values come from? The value comes from the inflation of the currencies. So every worker who is engaged in really productive value-creating activities, they get taxed by inflation. The purchasing power of their work basically is being taxed, and their work, part of the value that they create, is appropriated by these investors through the back door of money printing. And so this is an entire loop, right? So going back to NFTs. NFT is really the peak of stupidity. It is a symptom that people have figured this out so thoroughly that they have decided that, oh, let's not even make those deliveries. Why should we just make those? Why do we make those deliveries that each time loses some money? And this is not the best way to do this. Let us just make some photos of this deliveries, right? So I think perhaps someone will come up with a new delivery idea. So every time you deliver a food, you order a food on that app, you're not getting the food, but you get a photo of that food. And with some customized details so that it is unique, it is non-fungible. And with that, perhaps you can even sell it for even higher price. So that is how insane this is. And I think, of course, this is not going to end well, because the history has taught us that whom the gods would destroy, they must first make mad, right? So when people are so mad, so stupid, it is the end. I think there's not much longer that this can carry on. I think eventually all these chickens will come home to roost, and I think this will be destruction of value in historic proportions. And I think there's going to be let's not going to make too drastic predictions, but I think the outcome will actually be something that is good, because arising out of these ashes will be a new system. It will be a system that people, in which at least momentarily for decades to come, people will be very wary of free market, free money printing, money printing. People will go back to building businesses that create value, not to just seize value that other people create, especially through the insidious backdoor of money printing. So that is my thought, and I thank you very much for listening to this podcast.